last year in January, I read 8 books. I'm the kind of person who consecutively for multiple years in a row reads around 50 books in a year. For the past 3 years, I've been reading around 50 books. Last year, I read 60 books. So I read 60 books last year, and imagine my surprise when the moment this year starts, I enter a terrible reading slump. To be more precise, this January, I read only 3 books, which is normal for some people, but that's not normal to me if an average in a month I would read 5 books or 4 books. So this is my video guiding you how to get out of a reading slump. And in this video, we'll talk about what is a reading slump, what books you should and shouldn't read if you are in one or you are afraid you might be entering one. So let's go. First, some dictionary. What is a reading slump? A reading slump is when a reader can't pick up a book. There doesn't have to be a specific reason why that is. It could be all sorts of things, just the circumstances, they don't have any time, but usually it's not connected to that. It's more that you just can't pick up a book, or even if you do read books, they don't really pique your interest. For me personally, when I'm in a reading slump, I still read books. It just takes me like 5 times the effort it usually does, because reading for me is effortless. It doesn't take me a lot of work. But when I'm in a reading slump, reading feels like I'm doing a Chloe Ting core workout. So I've had reading slumps before, and usually for me they last for a few months. I know people who enter a reading slump and then they don't read for almost a year. So I'm really hoping if you are in a reading slump, you're not going through that right now. It sounds sad and painful because you want to read. It's just that it doesn't work out. Like nothing works. For me personally, sometimes I enter a reading slump if I've read too much. So for example, if I try to meet a specific goal, like at the end of last year, you can watch my video where I was speed reading. In my opinion, the reason why I entered a reading slump, in a month I was trying to read 6 books until the end of the year. So I was really rushing in December because I still only had read 54 books and my goal was 60, so I was really trying to meet it. So then in January, when I finally didn't have to rush through every single book I was reading, I just didn't want to read anymore. It felt like a lot of work and a lot of effort, and nothing seemed interesting enough. Like I felt like I'd read all of my interesting books and then there were no interesting books left. And now I want to talk about a few books that I think will get you out of a reading slump. First of all, I want to thank the book which has got me out of a reading slump. And that book is Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race. I'm not done with it yet. I am still reading it, and I love it. It's amazing. I have never enjoyed a book which is nonfiction so much as this one, I think. It's genuinely extremely interesting. Even if you don't read nonfiction, I suggest you read this one because of how interesting it is. Like, it's actually fascinating. And I feel like I'm learning a lot. So that's amazing. I love this book. I'm going to talk about this book more when I'm actually done with it, and I'm hoping I finish it today. The next book is the book that last year when I was in a reading slump, I read in 3 days, and it was amazing. It's Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. I think, honestly, almost all Alice Oseman books are really good for reading slumps because they're fast-paced, they're simple, they don't take a lot of brain work, and this one is literally a page-turner. I got through this in 3 days without even realizing it. I opened this book and I somehow made it to like the middle of it. This book is about Frances, who is obsessed with studying. All she does is study. And when I read the back of this book, I genuinely was like, I don't care. It sounds boring. I was wrong. I was so wrong. I don't think I've ever been more wrong about a book like I was about this one. And I genuinely, wow, I was so wrong. It's an amazing book. Don't read that. That's not important. It's boring. It's not interesting. Just read the book, okay? Obviously, a variety of amazing queer characters, a lot of diversity, like in all Alice Oseman books. A bit outdated because social media moves with the speed of like fucking 12 million light years. So like this book was written a few years back, so we don't really use Tumblr as much anymore. But I do still think that the themes in this book are relevant. And Alice Oseman always likes to write about online and online relationships, and so I love that. The next book is one of the recent books that I read last week. That is Down the Drain by Julia Fox. I actually can't. First of all, guys, I was reading this book on the plane, and I was reading it like this, and then I realized that this is the back. So, yeah, don't make the same mistakes I do. So, you know, there's a picture for proof in case you don't believe me. This book is genuinely amazing. Julia Fox's life is crazy. I am terrified of her. There are people who I love, but I'm also terrified of them. Julia Fox is one of them. If I would see her, I'd probably cross the street because I'm scared. I'm afraid. I'd be scared. Genuinely. And that's a compliment. That's a compliment. Like, it's like, what an icon. What an icon. I actually can't. This is so iconic. Yeah. So, this book just discusses Julia Fox's life from her childhood, growing up in New York, and basically becoming a star, and also being a dominatrix, which I didn't know, and that was one of the most interesting reading experiences I've ever had in my entire life. You know, you learn every day. You learn every day. It's also really easy to understand, very simple, but still nicely written. You can tell when people can write, you know, and like you can tell that she can write, but it also doesn't like use words like insurmountable and calamitous or whatever. You know, she's not trying to be Shakespeare, she's being herself. She's being Julia Fox. My next suggestion is that if you are in a reading slump, don't read long books. It's as simple as it gets. Heaven. This book is this short, and it's incredible. There are so many amazing short books you have to read. Like, I'm just saying, but you have to read them. This one has 164 pages. And it's literally great. It's literally great. It's about two students who are both experiencing bullying and their very strange relationship. And I love it. This book, Miyako Kawakami is also one of those people who I'm afraid of. If I see her walking down the street, I would run in the opposite direction. Because I'm afraid of her. If you can write this, you probably can, I don't know, destroy the world, call aliens, I don't know. I'm scared of her. I'm terrified. I'm just saying. If you're in a reading slump and you want to read classics, I would also suggest reading something short like Animal Farm or Giovanni's Room. And don't read very complicated and old classics because that will put you in a place of not understanding what's going on. If you're like me and you don't understand what old British classics are saying most of the time, don't bother. If you don't understand what Jane Austen means when she calls every single character in her book Emma agreeable, don't force yourself to go through the pain. Just saying. Just looking out for you, okay? Don't. It's not worth it. It's really not. Like, next category of books is just simple reads. And in my opinion, the most simple reads are romances or young adult books. So let's go through them, and I didn't realize this before, but I just understood that all the romance I was going to talk about are queer. So I'm like too lazy to go pick out the other books from the shelf. So you're just going to have to deal with these ones. Should I go and pick one out for the sake of diversity? Should I? It seems kind of far. Don't mind my pajama pants. We're doing this for the sake of diversity. I found a lesbian book. We're being diverse and inclusive in this channel, guys. Hello. The first books I want to talk about are Cemetery Boys and All That's Left in the World. These are the most recent romances I've read, and if you want to see me talk more about these books and actually what goes on in them, go watch my All the Books I Read in Fall video. These books, amazing. Read them very quickly. I think I read both of them in around 4 days, maybe 3 days. This one is about an apocalypse, so if you like more of like an apocalypse read, this one is for you. The story here, and as well as in this book, happens in a very short period of time, which also makes the events more fast-paced. This one I read in 2 days. I was so invested. I literally opened this book and I couldn't put it down. Guys, I read this book a year ago. I don't remember what the main character is called. Help me. What's the main character's name? I did not find his name, guys. Is it in the back? I don't see it. Guys! This book is about Bryson Keller, who has made a deal to date a new person every single week of high school. And I'm going to give you a little sneak peek, but no one ever said what gender the person has to be. And that leads us into a very secretive queer romance. And I love this book. YA books, so easy to read. I love them. And the last one, for the sake of diversity, we have one last stop. It's not only here for the sake of diversity, it is actually an interesting book to read. It's like all Cassie McQuiston books, so easy to read, very fast-paced, very funny. And it's also about a woman in STEM. Guys, hello. Okay. Basically, it talks about time travel. So if you like time travel, who doesn't like time travel? Actually, is there like a time travel hater out there? Please let me know. Is there someone who like despises time travel? I don't know. It takes place in New York City, and it's about a girl who finds this mysterious lesbian who's been stuck in a metro from the 1970s. Just so you know. Another book I don't have but I want to mention is Ace of Spades. I absolutely love this book. This is an incredible book. A page-turner, shocking, fascinating. I'm obsessed with it. Also queer. It also discusses race and racism in a very preppy, posh, private school. So, just go read that right now. I actually love that book. And the last category of books I want to discuss, I'm not really into fantasy books. However, Six of Crows is an exception. I think I will have to make a whole different video about this book because I love it. Read this in 3 days, and then I read the second part in 2 days. It's amazing. It's incredible. Really fast. Amazing. I actually can't. Okay, let's move on. This part of the video will be discussing the books you shouldn't read if you're in a reading slump. So, books you shouldn't read if you're in a slump. Don't be in a slump. Hello. First of all, books that are very long. If the book has more than 600 pages or 500 pages, I don't think it's a good idea to read it unless you know you will love it. If it's not Six of Crows, then I'm not sure if reading a book which is over 400 pages is a really good idea. And I made my mistake with The Goldfinch, because I reread The Goldfinch, and that took me 3 weeks, because it's 800 pages, guys. Don't do that. Don't do that. And speaking of Donna Tartt books, The Secret History, books which are like The Secret History, which are very slow-paced, very long, very focused on the details. It's all about the aesthetic, it's not about the plot in these books. So they're probably not gonna be very interesting. Usually they take a lot of time to read, and if you really want to appreciate the book, you need to take the time. If you don't, and you just suffer through it, then you're just gonna hate the book and not actually enjoy it. And that also leads me to another point. If you don't like a specific genre and you're in a reading slump, don't read that genre. Read genre you know you will like. If you like YA books, read YA books. You like fantasy, read fantasy books. Don't try to read another genre. It's just gonna make you hate it. The last part of the video is other things that will help you get out of a reading slump. Immerse yourself in book content. Watch YouTube videos about books. Watch TikTok. If you don't like book talk, then I would suggest watching YouTube instead, because you can actually pick the kind of content you want to watch. Book talk sometimes just recommends you Colleen Hoover. So if you don't really like that, then don't watch it. Just immerse yourself completely in book content, or reread your favorite books. It's also really helpful. If you have lost your faith in reading and you think you might never pick up a book again, pick up a book you love, and I promise you, you can't hate a book you've fallen in love with already. Thank you for being here with me today. I hope you are not stuck in a slump. Don't be. It's not a nice place to be. So get the fuck out. Get out of it. It's as if it's that simple. Go to a bookstore, find a book you will love, and read it. And eventually, I promise you, you will get out of the reading slump. And I hope that it will happen sooner rather than later. And I'm gonna see you soon. And I'm gonna try to be more consistent with videos. Do you see how I've been consistent? Are you seeing it, guys? Are you seeing it? Be proud of me. Be proud of me. I'm being consistent, okay? Putting in the work. I think it's the sun. Latvian weather finally blessed me with some sun. Now I have the energy to do it, I don't have to film in the dark. It's amazing, guys. Bye. I'll see you soon. Bye. Go read books, besties. Last look at my pajama pants. Woo.